Greetings and big powerful waves of Aroha, you beautiful beings, you beautiful creations. Here we are dropping into podcast style content, and this is a first for me, so bear with me. I'm still just navigating all of the bits and pieces, but today I wanted to share about my 5 fundamentals for freedom. And if you are here watching this, then congratulations and welcome, because in some way, shape or form you are ready to shift into a deeper understanding and awareness of yourself, because ultimately, whanau, that's all it is. You already have and possess everything that you need. It is simply about peeling away the things that are clouding our judgment and our perception of self. And also practicing some new techniques and things that will help with the reconstruction of your reality. I don't want to get too far into like all the very, I don't want to get too deep into all of the lingo, the conscious lingo, because I want to keep this as simple as possible. But it's like the best way for me to describe the depth of the experiences that I am having, or that I want to share with you. It requires like the deepest words I can muster. And sometimes that can maybe go over people's heads. And I am only relating this to, as well as I'm relating this to the environment that I grew up in. And we never used words like these, these big, we would call fancy words. So my intention for this communication or this transmission as well is to keep it simple enough so that the people and the environment that I grew up in have the ability to actually retain and hold some of the things that I want to share. So if that's you, Mauri Aroha, and I welcome you and embrace you with the most utmost unconditional love. Mauri Aroha for me represents unconditional love. So when I'm saying Mauri Aroha, that's all I'm expressing as well, is unconditional love. The most powerful, the powerfulest, the most powerful whanau. Anyway, let's get into it. 5 fundamentals for freedom. I want to start off first by just explaining who I am, because some of you guys may be new, and I want to, let you guys know a little bit more about my story and about where I came from. So I was born and raised in a coastal town called Gisborne on the North Island of Aotearoa, or New Zealand for you foreign people. And it was a beautiful, powerful, traumatic, disgusting, evil, loving, genuine, whanau orientated kind of upbringing, natural kind of upbringing, connected to nature. This was my introduction to life on earth. It was in Te Tairāwhiti, Gisborne, on the east coast of the North Island. I grew up in a whanau that was very close. My mother's side of the family is a very family-orientated family, you could say. Always connected to the aunties and the uncles and my grandfather, my grandmother, very tightly knit family. And the first thing that comes to my mind also is just the inability to process and to actually acknowledge trauma. This was not a strength in my mother's family, in my mother's side of the family. Processing trauma and speaking and using the voice to express and to communicate in a healthy way. This was not a strength in my mother's side of the whanau. And so I grew up around a lot of projections, traumatic projections, regurgitation of unhealed trauma, reactive nature, and this was my initial introduction to life on Earth, and so I thought this was normal. But obviously, this kind of behavior doesn't resonate with our being. It's not a healthy environment for our being, our physical being, our emotional being, to live and to exist. So there is always that part within us, I feel, that's being like, this isn't okay, this isn't actually okay, and I don't feel good when I'm in this space. So this was my mother's side of the family, and there were beautiful aspects to this journey as well. And my mother's father has had and been deeply connected to the natural world for a long time, throughout his whole life, and so he passed down this beautiful connection for me into the natural world. And this was like the pendulum. On one end, there was deep connection and privilege to be to have this connection with nature, and to have to be connected with a person who was nature in essence. And then on the other end of the pendulum was all of this trauma and all of this unhealed anger and frustration and things that our whanau never had developed this proper skills or things to actually acknowledge, identify, and release this trauma, because that's all it takes, is to be released, and then you can create that space within the self to then create a more healthy space or environment for others. So this was my mother's side of the family, and then shifting into my father's side of the family. My father was like my emotional rock. He was like my safety. He was the person who I could have, or I could be a child. I could have a little tantrum. I could, maybe have a cry or spit the dummy or something, and he would nurture me. I remember being an egg and just, being a kid and throwing my toys out of the cot, maybe beating up my sister or something like that, fighting with my family, and then he would just hold me. I remember he would just hold me, and I remember feeling in that moment, I just was like, wow, this is, this actually makes me feel safe. Something that I did not experience from my mother. And later on, like in this part of my journey now, I really, really actually acknowledge and understand that how important that was for me to have this emotional safety, how important and how powerful that actually played a part in my development as a child, to have someone who was emotionally safe for me to just react and to be a child. And because when you're a kid, you are still learning how to navigate life in this vehicle. You think about it, and I'm sure many of you out there have children. If you actually just observe a child, this new human who is now in this body, who has no idea the coordination between the fingertips, between the arms, between the voice. You've got so much processing going on every moment of every day. So much information is going on. You got ears, you got smells, you got all of these different senses that are activated now as a child, and you're trying to navigate this reality. And, then also that journey. Okay, I'm sort of veering off and I'm just going on to things, so just bear with me, whanau. You're also navigating the shifting, if you think about this, really feel into this, the shifting between between your thoughts, between the things only you can hear and only you can sense within yourself, and the reality outside of you. So what others can hear and what others are thinking. Because if you think about it now, say something in your mind, and we're so used to just having our own internal communication and conversation with ourselves. But when you are a child, there is no boundary. There is no difference between inner and outer worlds. You are still developing the things that you can hear. And I feel this is where, like, these, when parents say, oh, they've got an imaginary friend, blah, 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 blah. Children actually think you can see this too, I believe. There is no boundary between inner and outer worlds. It's just one big, beautiful, powerful imagination. Because I feel like that is one of the strongest aspects when you are coming into this reality, is your imagination is absolutely lit. Your imagination is still connected to the source. You can think and see things with your mind's eye. You're not heavily suppressed by toxins and all of these other things that we become suppressed and by as we grow and we turn into adults. So just feel into that. Whanau. That might be resonating with you. That might not be. That's okay. It doesn't matter. But for those who it does, then this might affect you in that way. So this is really awesome to just be able to share this. And so anyway, back on to my path and the journey that I took into Tairāwhiti. My father's side is from Europe. My father's mother is English, and my father's father is was Scottish. He has passed away now. And my mother's father is Mauri, half Mauri and Scottish, and my mother's mother is Mauri as well. So my Mauri whakapapa or genealogy comes through my mother's side, and my European genealogy whakapapa comes through my father's side. But also there's still quite a bit of European in my mother's side as well. So I'm probably like 70, at least 3/4 European, like quarter of Maori. But anyway, that's a little bit more of a backstory about myself and my introduction to life. I'll probably drop into more kōrero about some of the experiences that I had when I was a child, and some of the experiences that I made it through, as well as this podcast style content progresses. But I feel like I would like to sort of start rounding this small podcast footage off soon, and I want to keep it quite nourishing, this expression or this transmission that I'm sharing with you guys. So I really am just flowing with this, and I want to have this as a service. I want to be able to help people, help you guys, and I want this content to be particular for people who are ready to make shifts and to make changes. So I've developed these 5 fundamentals for freedom, and this is going to be a paid service of mine, and you can access this. This is for all my subscribers and all the people who are keen to maybe go on this journey with me. It's coming into the new year, and I want to be able to have this as a service for you guys, to create a strong, powerful foundation for you, because I've been living this way for the last 7 years now, and I've developed some really awesome techniques and some really awesome things that I know within my bones can help you on your journey. All I want to share in the 5 fundamentals of freedom is how to create a strong foundation within yourself, because it is from your foundation that you can create and you can manifest whatever reality that you choose, whatever you desire, whatever your heart's desire is in this reality, in this form, you can create. I've got absolutely no judgment upon whatever you choose to create from, but it really helps, so I have discovered, to have a strong foundation upon creating. Just like any building, anything that you see, it takes a foundation first. You want to do a painting, you need a canvas. You need to paint something upon. So we want to paint our life, whatever our imagination desires, whatever our heart desires. We want to be able to create our life in whichever way, shape, or form that looks like. But we need a canvas. So I want to share with you guys how I developed my canvas, or how I developed a good foundation, so that now I can think and I can do anything, whatever I want to achieve, whatever I want to do in this reality. All I have to do is just start building upon this beautiful canvas. And I want to share that with you guys. So, Mauri Aroha, Mauri blessings, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for following me up until this point. I'm really excited for what's about to come. I'll leave some more details in the description. I'm still working through what it looks like, but stay tuned, and thank you for your focus, your energy, and your attention. 3 of the most valuable things that we have. Mauri Aroha.